Faster Care Car Service, with over 1,400 locations.
In 1987, they were nearly invincible. It was the year of the Merkurs. On rare occasion, others led. And once during the season, another competitor actually won. But in every other case, the big question was which of the yellow and white Merkurs would cross the line and finish first. But 1988 appears to be an entirely different story. Welcome to Long Beach, California, for the 1988 opening round of the SCCA Escort Trans Am Series.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Long Beach, California. It's the SCCA 1988 Trans Am season opener. I'm Bruce Flanders to call the action along with the former national champion in this division, Mr. Tom Gloy. And Tom, we have a heck of a lineup of cars.
We really do, Bruce. We have small displacement V6s, we have larger displacement V8s, and we have all types of turbocharged cars, including the all-new Audi. We also have a team of women here, 2 women in the Roush team driving Merkur XR4 TIs.
Along with that, a bit of a tire war.
We have a tremendous tire war. We have Firestone, we have Hoosier, and we have Goodyear tires all here.
Oh, this is going to be good. Let's take a close-up look at the competition now.
As the 38 Trans Am competitors prepare for the first race of the 1988 season, much attention and speculation has centered on the newcomers to the series. Audi. Well known for its family car image, Audi is fielding Trans Am cars, remarkably different from the typical race car.
In reality, they're probably the only real car in the series. These are not tube-frame cars. They're real Audi 200s that were converted into race cars, including the all-wheel drive and the turbocharging. The cars will be very strong, I think, because the technology has been proven over the years in rally racing in Europe.
Boosting Audi's profile this season are 2 world-class drivers, Hurley Haywood and the German driver Hans Stuck, whose legendary father was a Formula One ace 50 years ago.
Of course, I'm very proud that I can continue my father's legend here. Of course, I never can be as successful as he was, but I try my best. And of course, I try the best for Audi to make it a good season.
Chevrolet has an increased presence in Trans Am this year, including last year's series runner-up Les Lindley, returning in the number 8 Camaro. Veteran Darren Brassfield in the Mobil 1 Corvette, and rookie Scott Overby in the new Baja Sports Beretta. Also representing GM are the Oldsmobile teams, including Irv Hare, who thinks his V6-powered machine can more than compete with the faster turbo cars.
Yeah, I think that, you know, on the initial leap off the corners, our Oldsmobile has a little bit of an advantage at that point, and about halfway down the straightaway, they're really, the turbos are really strong. But we've chosen, because Oldsmobile doesn't have a turbo, production turbo at this point, we've chosen to go as production oriented as we can. So we run the same V6 engine and fuel injection and electronics that come in, you know, the stock Tornado. So I think we're proven more than the guys with the real elaborate setups.
One of those elaborate setups is in this car, the 300ZX Turbo Nissan of Newman Sharp Racing. Driven by actor Paul Newman, this car has hit 159 miles per hour on the straightaway, the highest top-end speed of any Trans Am entrant this weekend. We asked co-owner Bob Sharp about Newman, the driver.
I feel very, very comfortable about him. I think he's just a fabulous guy to work with, a very, very professional driver that lays in consistent fast laps, and that's what wins races. I think something that sort of works against us is I don't think they think a 63-year-old should be going that fast.
Other turbo entrants include the number 11 Olivetti Porsche, driven by Chris Neifel, and the 2 Merkur XR4 TIs, piloted by Roush Racing teammates Deborah Gregg and Lynn St. James. Lynn had some thoughts on the increase of women competitors in motorsports.
Personally, it's good news. I'm excited about it because as a woman in motorsports, we need more women in the sport everywhere to be able to really have an impact and to show to other women that it's there for a lot of people to enjoy. So personally, I'm very happy. As a competitor, I've learned a long time ago to focus on the important things. And so this weekend, I'm going to be concentrating on getting my secret Merkur XR4 TI to be not only the fastest one of the team, hopefully the fastest one of the weekend.
Her teammate, Scott Pruitt, last year's Trans Am champion, is in a V8-powered Merkur. He finds that having the women on his team can be mutually beneficial.
You know, since I spent so much time in Merkur this year and they haven't had a chance to test as much as they'd like to, I've been able to give them little pointers and stuff on just basics about the car, maybe to help them out a little bit. But so far things have really worked out well. And plus the locker room smells good now. I mean, it's nice and yeah.
The very first race of the 1988 Trans Am season will be going green right after this. California for the opening round of the SCCA Escort Radar Trans Am Series. The Toyota Celica pace car has the field under control, and they're moving out on their warm-up lap. And, Tom, they really seriously go to work warming those tires, don't they?
Well, they really do. They need to. They need to get these tires up to some sort of an operating temperature so that they're all ready for the first lap.
Number 77 with a mechanical problem, Scott Overby from Lockport, Illinois. The brand-new Chevrolet Beretta will not start for him, and it is not running as the rest of the 37 cars are moved away from the starting line area.
We saw Bob Anderson, the director of Pro Racing, actually helping push that car off the grid.
Tom, we see them dancing around and warming up these tires. Can they get them too warm?
Not under these conditions. They're just trying to get them as warm as possible.
Well, there's a mechanic seriously trying to work on that car and get Overby back into the competition before the flag turns green, but the brand new Beretta may not make the call. Let's take a look right away at the grid. Pruitt on the front row, along with Irv Hare, Les Lindley, and Hans Stuck making up the second row. The third row's got Gentilozzi, then Paul Newman, who's actually sixth on the grid. But Newman was the fastest qualifier. The Fast Five were locked in on Friday. Then in Saturday's qualifying session, Newman turned the quickest time. As you look over the rest of the field, I'll remind you you'll see 38 names coming up. This is a big and busy field and makes for a very busy racetrack, doesn't it, Tom Gloy?
It'll keep the streets of Long Beach humming for quite a while. Interesting situation with Newman being sixth on the grid. He was the fastest qualifier in the last session and the fastest overall qualifier, but since he didn't do it in the first session, he starts sixth.
All right, that field, working their way down. There's your 19th row full of people. The pace car has pulled off. That is Scott Pruitt, the number 1 car making the turn. You're on board with Irv Hare. We've got an onboard camera in the number 15 car on the front row, and we're coming down to a potential green flag right now.
They're all looking at the starter and getting ready, and there's the green.
We are green and we are racing, and Paul Newman way off on the right-hand side as you look there. Newman just swooping by a bunch of people.
And we had Irv Hare and Scott Pruitt running side by side down into the hairpin.
Turn 1 at Long Beach is always a thrill, and here comes a thundering herd with Newman in front.
On the inside.
Uh-oh, Newman and Irv Hare tangle and try out a tire barrier right away, and it may have put both of them out of the competition. And out in front, it is Scott Pruitt as they continue on the racetrack. Again, another look at Paul Newman on your left, Irv Hare on the right, and both of them parked solidly.
Scott Pruitt got through that accident very, very cleanly.
Les Lindley is in the second place spot in the V6 Camaro, and the first of the Audi four-wheel drives is Hans Stuck, who sits in the third place spot. And they're coming up to speed right now as they go underneath the garage area. There has been a second incident. It involves the number 20 car who qualified in the 34th position, and that is Dan Croft. Croft has bounced off of the walls on the front straightaway at what is the high-speed portion of the course.
That accident appears to be up the straightaway from where Newman and Irv Hare got together.
And I do believe it's blocking the straightaway these cars are about to come out on. There are yellow flags at every corner, and now a black flag is beginning to wave, and they're going to shut them off. That's an unusual condition in a Trans Am race.
It really is, Bruce, but we have a very serious accident on the front straight.
Here's a look once again at the way Newman and Irv Hare got together in turn 1. That's Newman on your left, Hare on the right.
Newman's just carrying way too much speed, and he can't make the turn. Irv appears to be carrying a lot, too, but does attempt to make that turn.
The tire barrier seemed to work pretty well there as neither car, or at least neither driver, sustaining serious damage. Here we are on board with Irv Hare to see it from the in-car position.
You can see Scott Pruitt on his right, and Scott brakes now. And there, as Irv tried to turn into the corner, there was Newman, but I'm not convinced either one would have made the turn.
This incident is the more serious. Number 20, Dan Croft. Croft bounced off of the walls a total of 3 different times. The ambulance is on its way to the location. The fire people are there. All of the emergency people at Long Beach have responded in a hurry. Here's a bit of a replay of the remainder of Croft's incident. Watch closely. This is the last hit against the wall. Well, that car has taken some of the punishment right there.
Certainly has, Bruce. They, of course, are designed to take a certain amount of punishment, but this does appear to be a serious accident.
The Trans Am race in Long Beach is in an all-stop condition right now. All the running cars have returned to the pit lane area. And here from the Goodyear blimp, you can see the incident itself happened on one of the straightest portions of the streets that we use here, and the car was definitely up to speed at the time. Back Back on the incident in turn 1 as Paul Newman beginning to push Irv Hare's car away from his own so that his crew, who now arrives on the scene, can maybe get him back into action. Newman appears to be okay, and I think Irv Hare is also.
You see the forklift realigning the concrete blocks, and the black marks outline the path of the accident that leads down to where the medical personnel are assisting Dan Croft.
There will be a restart, and we'll be back to Long Beach. We're back in Long Beach, California. Nearly 1 hour has elapsed since the incident in turn 1 at the first green flag for this Trans Am race. Dan Croft has been transported by ambulance to St. Mary's Hospital. The track has been cleaned up and the field realigned and now out warming their tires once again. But during that time, some interesting things have happened.
Bruce, here's Irv Hare. He backed up in the pit lane, and now his crew is going to work on the car. Backing up in the pit lane is not allowed in any race.
Now, you'll remember, Irv Hare was involved in an incident with Paul Newman in that Flanders car, and here it went clear around the course.
Yes, he came in the proper direction into the pit lane.
But it's bothering him just a little bit, especially if you saw that incident.
Well, you can see that he is replaying that incident in his mind, and I think he'd like to have another shot at that.
Coming back now to the real time of this race as we move around the race course, coming off of turn 11, the pace car has already disappeared. We're looking at a potential green flag right now with 1 lap down already. And is it? Yes, the green flag is waving. Out in front of it, it is a Stroh car, and that is the young man out of Roseville, California, Scott Pruitt, on his way to leading them into turn 1.
I tell you, Pruitt looked like he got a really good jump at that restart.
Might point out something else here. Our camera down in turn 1 was also impacted upon that incident. Hopefully we'll get it back up, but until then we'll take high shots from the blimp. Now you're in turn 3 as Pruitt goes by. Les Lindley in the Camaro, the Audi, and then the Oldsmobile.
And then Lynn St. James in the secret car.
And another one of those 2 Audis that are certainly rewriting the way people are going to go Trans Am racing, maybe. Picking them up in the corner, the Stroh car with the normally aspirated V8 in it comes charging off of the corners, and the V6 Chevrolet trying to stay with it.
That's right, a much smaller motor running at a lighter weight trying to stay with the bigger engine Ford.
Now we're on the second lap of 58 laps, and there is no refueling in this race. And Tom, I don't think they were allowed to add fuel during that break, were they?
No, they weren't, and that really could turn out to be a problem, Bruce. They've done some extra warm-up and cool-down laps while we've had these problems with the start. So I don't know if that'll come to play later in the race.
Normally, these races are about 100 miles long. With no call for any fuel, there's less chance of fire in the pit area and lots of other safety reasons for it. The cars can go 100 miles, but it's tough with all the warm-ups, too. Picking up the leaders on that front straightaway. 4 different brands in the top 4. You're looking at the 5th place, and that's Lynn St. James. And, boy, there's a good battle shaping right around 3rd as the Audi and the Oldsmobile have at each other.
That's right. That's Hans Stuck and Paul Gentilozzi in the Oldsmobile. Stuck, of course, in the all-wheel drive Audi.
Stuck is best known for his World Endurance Championship racing. He races all over Europe, but this is his first time in the walls of Long Beach.
This is the battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Boy, and it's a good one so far. There's the yellow Camaro in the 2nd place spot, the Audi in 3rd, and the Oldsmobile of Gentilozzi in the 4th place position. Early stages now. Tires are actually just getting up to the proper temperature, aren't they?
Yes. It'll take them a few laps to really bring them in properly. Anybody that's using their tires too hard at this point could suffer at the end of the race. These guys really want to be careful of those tires in the opening lap.
On the short chute, and it looks like Pruitt is stretching.
Boy, he really is. This is pretty early to be stretching lead that long.
The Audi and the Camaro battling for the 2nd place spot. So far, the V6 Camaro is holding it down well, but the 4-wheel drive Audi with the turbocharged 4-cylinder engine starting to use a lot of the racetrack right now, Tom.
He takes a very wide entry into the hairpin and then short circuits it coming out so he can get down the straightaway as quick as possible, it appears.
It's an 11-turn, 1.67-mile long road course with several key passing points on it.
The leaders are approaching one of those points now at the end of Shoreline Drive into turn 1. Very critical area for passing, especially under braking. One of my favorite areas to pass is the short chute in the back, especially passing under braking here as we head over to the hairpin. The hairpin being a very critical area to get speed onto the straightaway so that you're the quickest down Shoreline Drive.
And the quickest down Shoreline Drive with the radar gun the other day was Paul Newman at 159 miles an hour. Awfully fast. You're watching the battle for second place. Lindley with Hans Stuck behind him and back on the leader there as Pruitt has pulled out a big distance over that battle for second.
We really have got a good battle for second place. All three of those cars are sliding around. And the Audi, again, is on a very strange line with its all-wheel drive.
4 different brands in the top 4. That is the three-way battle for second on the short chute. This is one of the favorite passing areas for Gloy, and Stuck likes it too.
Excellent pass. Very, very clean. He just pulled out and did it under brake.
The Albuquerque, New Mexico driver, number 18, Glenn Fox, with a little problem there on the track. He is not factor in our top 10 at all. And we're back on now the Audi, the new second-place car.
It'll be interesting to see if the Audi can hold second-place position down the main straightaway. It hasn't been as quick on the straightaway as either the Camaro or the Oldsmobile.
Oh, but they've been blindingly fast in those tight sections, though, and closing it right back up. Down that Shoreline Drive at speed is still your battle for second place. Up on our high camera shot from the Goodyear blimp right there as the leader, Pruitt, works his way through turns 2 and then through turn 3 with the V8 Merkur. Some traffic there for the second-place Audi.
Yes, and Stuck works inside of that traffic and leads the traffic to hold up third and fourth place cars.
They're 6 laps down. The top 5 leaders coming up on your board, and we're returning to Long Beach. That is Scott Pruitt, who currently leads our SCCA Trans Am race through the streets of Long Beach. I'm Bruce Flanders, along with Tom Gloy to call the action, and Tom was a winner in the streets of Long Beach in 1979 and 80 in Formula Atlantics, and was the Trans Am champion in 1984, so he's familiar with these cars. Pruitt won the event here last year and has a relatively comfortable lead right now.
Here's the battle for third place. We've got Lindley in the number 8 Camaro and Paul Gentilozzi in the Oldsmobile.
2 General Motors products having at each other for third on our leaderboard at the moment. Boy, they get up to steam on this front straight.
They really do. That's a V6 in the lead and a V8 behind it.
There is your second-place car, the Audi of Hans Stuck, and a little belch of flame from the turbocharged car right there. And by the way, chasing him is number 77. That's Scott Overby in the Beretta Chevrolet, the one they were wrenching on hard before the green flag.
Earlier, I asked Hans about his reaction to driving the new Audi.
The most amazing thing to me was we seem to have an endless traction. The traction is with four-wheel drive absolutely fantastic. Never in my life, and I raced for a long time now, something like 18 years, had this have before in my life. And also the going into the turns is quite promising.
Well, you can tell the guy's not excited about it at all.
No, it's pretty obvious that he loves that car.
That's him right now in the second-place spot, coming off of that short chute, and he is beginning to gobble back up the time between he and the leader, Scott Pruitt. Pruitt went out early.
That car seems to work very, very well in the tight stuff. It doesn't really seem to have the speed down the straightaway. It's an interesting situation right here. It appears the car he's about to lap is pulling away from him down the straightaway. So he's making all of his time in the corners and under braking.
That's the number 22, Robert Kahn, out of San Diego, that is giving the Audi a pretty bad go there for a moment. And we're back on that battle for third place, although Lindley, the fourth-place yellow Camaro, dropping a little bit further off of the pace that Gentilozzi is set in the third position.
These guys have been going at it tooth and nail since the beginning of the race. They're actually having an incredible race within a race. These two will be looking at their mirrors when they're in the lead to see where the guy is right behind them, or as they swap positions, then they go from trying to keep their concentration, looking straight ahead and not hitting a wall, and also trying not to let the guy behind them get ahead.
They're very aware of each other's position, correct?
Oh, in a constant fashion. In fact, when you're racing this close for this long, you spend more time looking at your competitor than you do the cars that you're lapping and the walls that you're going by.
The battle for third, going underneath one of the pedestrian overpasses. They're deeply in traffic, too, at the moment. Boy, it looks like Les Lindley going to make another challenge with the yellow Camaro. This has been one of the most interesting Trans Am battles I've seen for the third-place spot. There's Paul Newman in his Flanders car with a little fiberglass hanging off of it. He's running well, along with the guy who was involved in that first corner incident with him, Herb Hare. Both of them are hitting on all cylinders now.
There's Scott Pruitt heading down into turn 1, into the heavy braking area where you can pass cars. There's a good camera picture of the action from the Goodyear blimp as they head into turn 2.
And there's Paul Newman now. As he looks in his mirrors, he's going to see our event leader, Scott Pruitt, right on his tail. So the Nissan with the Merkur on him right there, and the Nissan moves over and let him by.
Yes, a very gentlemanly thing to do. Paul Newman is going down a lap, and the leader, of course, is attempting to win this race. So Newman is not a factor, and he moved out of the way to give Scott a clear line.
The Strollite #1 car underneath the Hyatt garage area runs again, and he jumps out, pulls some distance rapidly as he comes out onto the short chute. That V8 really gets off the corner well.
It really does. He's opened up a huge gap on Newman already.
Third place has been a war zone as the yellow Camaro sitting in fourth goes once again after the red and white Oldsmobile that's holding down third.
Gentilozzi is running very close to the walls here in the streets. He's using every ounce of road, trying to open up a gap on Lindley, and just not being successful.
And in some of the spots, his rear end is sliding around more than the normal, isn't it?
Well, he's a slightly heavier car. He's running the V8, and he's certainly using all of that horsepower to get him off those turns.
So the lighter weight six-cylinder of Lindley may have the potential to make it back right here as they come off of turn 11, get onto the shoreline, and come clear through the gearbox once again.
In the tighter sections, Lindley is able to close right back up. Once they get onto the straightaway, you can see Gentilozzi pulling away.
In the background, the marina here at Long Beach, the Queen Mary, as they go down shoreline through the area they call Bend, because it's not really a straightaway, and we're back on our front-running car once again, Pruitt.
Pruitt setting up a back marker, going to make another pass and put some more distance between. Whoa,
going around
in the back.
That was number 6, Russ Newman. Now, Russ Newman, no relation to Paul. Russ is out of Lake Forest, Illinois, in a Buick, and his Buick may be done.
He damaged the left front of that car pretty heavily.
The leader, Scott Pruitt, now trying to use his head. If he was looking in his mirrors, he saw an interesting sight in that last one.
I can tell you that he wasn't watching his mirrors in that sort of situation. Scott's concentrating on what he's doing at the moment, and that's attempting to win this race.
Blue flags. We see blue flags with a yellow stripe through them. What does it mean?
It means that a faster car is approaching, and you're supposed to move over and give him leeway.
Well, there is a faster car approaching from second right now. Hans Stuck in the number 14 Audi has gobbled up a lot of the distance between he and Scott Pruitt, and he may well become a factor in this event again.
This is happening relatively quickly. It's amazing that Stuck can close the ground that Pruitt has opened up. They both come into traffic, and I suspect that Stuck is just better with this all-wheel drive at getting through all the traffic.
Well, let's watch him for a moment. In traffic, the next car he's going to pass is number 5, Andy Porterfield, out of Newport Beach, California. Will Porterfield move over and let him by? No, he's an old devil. He's played this game before. Work your way around me, Stuck.
So Stuck goes around the outside on an interesting move. Very interesting.
And still, Newman's car, that's Russ Newman's car, was up against the wall as they went by there. We're following the leader underneath the garage, and there goes Stuck in the Audi. There's a couple of cars between them.
Stuck has really closed this gap down. He's got to be pressing hard and taking a lot of chances to try to get this close to Pruitt at this stage.
Well, a victory for Hans Stuck in the streets with the maiden voyage of the Audi would certainly make headlines all the way to West Germany. That is the Stroh car of our leader, Scott Pruitt, in control of this thing since the opening gun of the second restart.
He's definitely trying to drive a very steady race, keep his concentration going, and stay ahead of Hans Stuck.
Well, at the moment, he's certainly doing that. And Scott Pruitt, who was the champion of this division last year, looks in control of this season opener at the moment as they go through the area called the Bend on Shoreline, a surface street, 360-some-odd days out of the year.
Down into the first turn and looks to the inside of the slower car. That's Casey Millette. But he doesn't make a maneuver under brake.
I never saw the Audi come by here at all, and he was closer to him than that. There goes by Danny May in the Thunderbird. There's the Audi. Smoke off the left front.
That's the pit lane. Hans is into the pit lane with a tremendous damage in the front.
I would think that this may mark paid to their efforts, and the Audi may be done for the day. We'll have to get an update on that in a little bit. Meanwhile, the lead is now even more secure for Scott Pruitt.
We have a replay of the incident that Hans Stuck was involved in. That 47 car is Danny May, and that's Hans Stuck trying to get underneath Danny May off the back straightaway. Interesting that they made contact. I'm not really sure who was at fault there.
Well, obviously, it has hurt Hans Stuck's chances because he is now climbing out of the car, usually the sign that they're all done.
This is really a terrible thing for Hans in the maiden voyage of the Audi to have been running so strongly. You can see there with a very European flair what he thinks happened in that accident.
I'd like to have read his lips. The full-face helmet saved us a few words right there. Back on the leader as he comes back out onto Shoreline. And the Stroh-like car has not skipped a beat so far at all. In fact, he's listed number 1 as the rest of the top 5 comes up, and we'll return. Welcome back to Long Beach, California. The SCCA Trans Am race is going on in the streets. And by the way, they have picked up a new series sponsor for this, Escort Radar Warning Receivers. We used to call them detectors, but you'll know when it goes off. That's our leader in the streets right now, as Scott Pruitt in the Stroh light car has just been demolishing the competition.
He's still running very cleanly. That's Darren Brassfield that he's just gone by, and pulling away from him, going down the back straightaway.
The graphic tells you he won 7 races in 1987. He also won the championship. And if he keeps on going the way he is so far today, the rest of them may as well load up and go home.
That's the way a driver would like to start the year, to win again in the streets of Long Beach and start off a very strong situation for the championship.
And you saw the real differential there between first and second place. In fact, second and third tight together. The number 7 Budweiser car of Gentilozzi is in second. And right behind him, Les Lindley in the yellow Camaro that has been a factor in this event all day long.
They're still together, and you can see as Gentilozzi comes out of that turn with the big engine, he pulls away from Les Lindley a little bit. They're coming up to pass Danny May.
Danny May was the one who was involved earlier with Hans Stuck in the Audi. May continued on. The Audi did not.
Now, Les Lindley's going underneath Danny May, and that puts him right back on the tail of Paul Gentilozzi.
Everybody going on the brakes as they go into turn number 1, 2, and 3, and they're a rhythmic kind of a corner, are they not?
Well, they really are. And these two guys, I mean, this is just an incredible race. They keep doing this lap after lap after lap. They're just never more than a few car lengths apart.
And definitely starting to use up what rubber there was, and they won't be making any pit stop for rubber at all, right?
No, any stop in this race will basically put you out of contention.
Underneath the Hyatt parking garage area, they go once again. Some 60-some-odd thousand spectators here with us at this race, and just cheering for them every time they go by.
Out from under that wide sweeping area and underneath the overpass onto the back straightaway. There comes second and third place. Oh, we see Lindley coming down into the braking area and showing a bit of tire smoke, a bit of brake locking going on as he enters the braking area and tries to keep up with Gentilozzi.
And we follow it on back. Just going by us there was the number 2 car, the Ice Blue Secret car of Lynn St. James. And she is now shown on the leaderboard in the 4th place spot. Doing well as she comes to the hairpin area.
She's just been soldiering on all day. Has been doing a very, very clean job.
And the Audi, number 44, the other half of the Team 44, is sitting now in 5th place. And Hurley Haywood behind the wheel suddenly appearing on the leaderboard.
Hurley in the second team car to Hans Stuck, that car that was taken out earlier in the race.
Both of those Audis were impressive in their qualifying portion as we watched Lynn St. James on the brakes down into turn 1 with the Ice Blue Secret car. Now, this is a turbocharged Merkur XR4 TI.
Yes, it is. Her car and Deborah Gregg's car are both turbocharged cars, and Scott Pruitt's Merkur is a V8 powered car.
Now, Lynn St. James is no stranger to Tom Gloy. You two have partnered together, haven't you?
We've driven a number of cars together in the Trans Am and in endurance racing and in GTO type cars. In fact, we were winners at the Daytona 24-hour last year. She's a super competitive lady.
And currently sitting in the 4th place spot on this racetrack. Focusing at the moment on Paul Newman right there as he comes down with the fiberglass kind of hanging off of the car. 2 career Trans Am victories for Paul, but I don't think there's going to be another one today. And coming up behind, there's the number 2 Ice Blue Secret car of Lynn St. James.
Really exciting paint job on that car.
Behind her, that's Hurley Haywood, the other of the Audis, or the sole remaining Audi. And Hurley Haywood's been showing it pretty well, sitting now in the 5th place spot.
He really is. He's making a move. That's Irv Hare behind him, missing all the front bodywork.
Now, Irv Hare coming charging up on the Audi. Looks like, in fact, does make a pass on the Audi as he goes underneath the bridge and the microwave camera on board breaks up just a little bit. A lot of people in the facility think Irv Hare has just taken over the 5th place spot, but that is not so, right?
No, that's not so. We saw him back up in the pit lane, and we know that he's going to be assessed a penalty. So he has just passed the 5th place car, but that just unlaps himself from that car.
All right, so he's unlapped from 5th. He's also, according to our stopwatches, the quickest car on the racetrack right now. And the car's about as aerodynamic as a brick.
There's Paul Newman. That's the other car that Irv Hare tangled with down in that first turn incident on the first lap.
And both of them back running, right?
Yeah, they are. And Paul obviously dragging some bodywork also.
That is Lynn St. James. As we've mentioned several times, she's in the 4th place spot, driving the wheels off of that turbocharged Merkur. In fact, she's coming up to put a lap on Paul Newman.
She's just ahead of Irv Hare. You can see him in the background there, missing all the front bodywork. Still flying along, even though he doesn't have all those aerodynamic aids in the front.
As we look at the front of that car, what all is out there in that snout piece that sticks out?
Well, the bottom piece is a radiator inlet, and the long aluminum piece over the top feeds air into the carburetor.
You're now in the driver's compartment with Irv Hare, one of the quickest cars on the racetrack right now, and he's trying to overhaul Lynn St. James on Shoreline. Now, Tom, that front nose piece that's sticking out, it's getting awful low to the ground, it looked like to me.
I think that's right, Bruce. In fact, you can see in this picture where it's actually dragging on the ground as he tries to get inside of Lynn in turn 1.
So he could end up putting a hole in his own radiator. Well, Lynn St. James kind of squeezed him off.
Yeah, she's competitive. She's not going to let Irv by easily. Irv's going to have to earn his way by.
Irv Hare inside again as he goes to work on Lynn St. James. A little break up there as we go under another pedestrian bridge. And Lynn St. James, you can feel that Oldsmobile coming.
Well, there's Irv. He's moving inside of her, making a big right turn and then a left under the garage.
Irv Hare unlapping himself from the 4th place runner on the racetrack, and he's got that Oldsmobile up to speed, but he is not in the top 5. We're going to be coming back to the Escort SCCA Trans Am race in Long Beach right after this. Scott Pruitt is our leader. Gentilozzi is in 2nd, Lindley 3rd, St. James 4th, and Haywood. Welcome once again to Long Beach, California, where today it's the SCCA Escort Radar Trans Am season opener. And there's the Goodyear blimp giving us some great shots. By the way, piloting the Goodyear blimp Columbia today is Captain Tom Mattis from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And thank you, Goodyear, for your shots. Meanwhile, the leader on the racetrack is number 1, Scott Pruitt, who has led this Trans Am race the whole way. But this weekend, he's a busy man. He's not only driving in Trans Am, but making his debut run in Indy cars. Earlier, Tom had a chance to talk to him about it.
It's a means for me to get out and show myself to the people that, yeah, I can handle an open-wheel car. I mean, even though if you don't realize I spent 18 years in go-karts and those are open wheels, it's not like going out and doing it, and this is the perfect venue for me to do it. I mean, Long Beach, probably one of the toughest street circuits that I think we race on, Indy cars race on. So the whole deal, I mean, that's why that whole premise has come together.
Tom, you have driven both Indy cars and Trans Am cars. That's a tough assignment on the same weekend, isn't it?
Well, it's a tough assignment anytime that you try to put 2 racing series together on the same weekend. I'm really very surprised that Scott has attempted it this weekend because the Indy debut is very important for it. However, here he is leading the race, and you know, the first thing that he needs to accomplish is to win this Trans Am.
I talked to him about the differential, and he said the track gets a lot shorter in an Indy car.
I'm sure that's right. I mean, he's traveling an awful lot faster in that Indy car. But adapting between the 2 different types of machinery, the Indy car, of course, with the open wheels and turbocharged car running extremely quickly around here close to the walls, and then the much, much heavier Merkur running in the Trans Am. Quite a problem to adapt to between different sessions on different days of the weekend.
Picking up right now with our 2nd place car. That's the red and white one approaching you rapidly. That's number 7, the Budweiser-sponsored Gentilozzi, and then right behind him, Les Lindley in the Camaro. And these 2 guys have been the story. If you're just tuning in, they've been trying to swap paint jobs all day long.
They really have. Now we see what would really be considered a very comfortable lead on Gentilozzi's part. Must be at least 10 car lengths.
10 car lengths is comfortable the way these 2 have been having at each other so far.
We're to a point in the race where tires could be a factor. Certainly if running as hard as these 2 guys have run, they may be running into tire wear factors, and that may be a situation why Les is falling back.
We've got Firestone, Goodyear, and Hoosiers, and it seems that all of them are performing about equally well at the moment.
It does seem that way. Les, of course, is on Hoosiers, and Gentilozzi is on Goodyears.
Les Lindley out of Anaheim, California. Some of his competitors say that he's older than dirt. He's certainly been around here a while and a lot of experience.
He really is. He's definitely the leading independent in the series currently and finished 2nd in the series last year.
Gentilozzi right there comes out onto the front straightaway. We look at Irv Hare, who that front aluminum bodywork stuff is starting to come apart big time. And we're on board with him now.
Yeah, that front bodywork now is dragging very heavily on the ground. We're in the car with him, and we can actually watch his shifting patterns as he goes through the hairpin and onto the Shoreline Drive straightaway.
He's getting a bead on Andy Porterfield as they come up to speed. Now, he's shifting a 4-speed, I think.
Yeah, that's quite interesting, actually. Most of these people are using a 5-speed because it gives them a greater rev band to use coming off of the hairpin.
And we've noticed something else a little earlier, too. Inside of that car, he's got probably the tallest first gear of any competitor out there. He's in first gear now.
Yeah, he is first gear through this entire first, second, third turn area.
And that is just amazing because most people are in second gear there with an occasional use of first gear. But with the 4-speed and the torque band that this Oldsmobile's got, he's getting away with a tall first gear and using the heck out of it.
He really is. He's back down into first gear for the right-hander before the parking garage.
We talked to Irv Hare a little bit earlier about his whole chances on this particular weekend and whether or not the Oldsmobile stood a chance up against the heavy hitters.
Yeah, I think the last 30 miles of the race are going to be our strong point. If we can keep the leaders in sight, basically, to that point, I think we'll be in pretty good shape.
Irv Hare out of Peoria, Illinois, whose day got kind of ruined in turn 1.
It did, Bruce. There's no doubt about it. But you can tell from how he's sliding this car, he hasn't given up.
No, he's definitely still running it as hard as can be run as he comes once again to the hairpin corner and tries to get it up to speed.
He's using up all the road again. I mean, he is trying to carry all that speed possible down Shoreline Drive.
The closest race on the track right now is for the 4th place position, and here it is. Lynn St. James being chased by Hurley Haywood. The Merkur and the Audi still go at each other as they try to get around the number 9 car. Number 9, by the way, is Jerry Clinton from Missouri.
Hurley's trying all kinds of odd lines here, trying to get around Lynn. Very interesting. Lynn takes some tight lines entering some of the corners. Hurley will be outside, inside, using his all-wheel drive in all sorts of areas of this track. I'm sure that a lot of these areas are not clean areas on this racetrack that he's using currently.
Make a call. Is Lynn St. James trying to drive a wide Merkur?
Well, I certainly think it's pretty wide at the moment. She does not want to give up this position. There's no doubt about it. You can see that she's got a horsepower advantage over the Audi down the main straightaway.
But then that advantage that the Audi's been using on the tight sections comes back into play just as after they come on the brakes here at turn 1.
Yeah, it really does. It starts with them going on to brakes. The Audi certainly is a very superior car under brakes, and then very superior in traffic. You can see already we're in turn 3, and Hurley is pulled up right behind Lynn.
The closest race on the track for 4th place, and definitely for bragging rights, if nothing else. And Hurley Haywood trying to bring the Audi home in its debut and put it up in the top 5 even higher.
Some of these lines that Hurley's taking are certainly a shortcut, but some of them appear to be a little bit of a long cut at the same time. However, he is dealing with a very wide Merkur in front of him.
The next car they're coming around is number 79, Robert Ripple from Virginia, and he is about to just be dusted off by the turbos of both the Merkur and the Audi.
Well, you can see when Hurley gets up to a very tight corner, he is all over Lynn. The problem being that he can't accelerate as quickly as Lynn can down the straightaway.
Does that mean he's going to have to make most of his passes under braking only?
I think that's exactly what it means.
39 out of the 58 laps here in Long Beach are in the books, and we're coming back for a lot more. Coming up now. The streets of Long Beach still alive with the sights, sounds, and smells of the Trans Am race going on. And as you're looking at the racetrack now, there has been a change in second place. Les Lindley in the yellow Camaro has now taken over second for Paul Gentilozzi.
This is a continuation of this race-long duel. Les Lindley now in the lead.
I'll remind you again, Scott Pruitt is still out in front. In fact, well out in front. But this second place duel is literally that.
Now we have the V6 car back ahead of the V8 car. This has not been the case in quite a while.
And here's the replay of how the exchange took place. You're on board with Irv Hare, but watch in front of him.
They're coming out of the hairpin, and there's Paul Gentilozzi.
Paul apparently spun all by himself, which is a tough situation, and he has made back up the distance now, and he's climbing all over the back of Les Lindley's Camaro one more time.
I tell you, Paul is really using up his tires and using up his car. He's trying to get inside Les right here, coming off the back chute.
That's where Hans Stuck had his problem with Danny May, only these two guys do not swap paint jobs this time. In fact, they've got quite a bit of respect for each other, it appears.
They really do. Les is taking a real inside line. Well, there's Paul Gentilozzi. He looked like he was using the Hurley Haywood Hans Stuck line down the front straightaway, only it didn't work for him. He's lost a considerable amount of distance coming off of that turn.
The Oldsmobile driving in the normal fashion with the two rear wheels. That wide line he didn't get a good drive off of, but he picks up a lot of steam on that main straightaway and comes back up tight against him.
I really suspect that Les Lindley is running into some sort of tire trouble. This is the area of the racetrack, really, where the tight section, where the V6 should be gaining on the V8 car. The V6 is a lighter car, and it just really should be pulling away in these tight areas, and it's not.
These cars have been running now for nearly an hour. Are they a different balance in the car that much fuel has been consumed?
Yes, there's a real balance change that goes on over this period of an hour. Certainly the tires and the brakes change, the fuel load changes, and the drivers have to adjust to this change. You can see Paul is just all over Les Lindley.
Well, and Les has got to know that he's back there once again as they come out onto the short chute area. We'll see if the V8 Oldsmobile has got horsepower on the V6 Camaro.
Well, he's got the horsepower, and he's trying to set him up again. You can see Les wiggle there under brakes. He's inside him.
And that move looked like it worked that time. And Gentilozzi is back up into the second place spot overall at the moment.
It's amazing. In a little over about a turn, he's really pulled out a pretty sizable gap here.
Your top position, Scott Pruitt, well out in front. You're looking at second, third, and fourth as suddenly Hurley Haywood makes his presence felt. He's gotten around Lynn St. James, and he's on the Camaro. Well, maybe not on him on this fast part of the straightaway, but watch out in the tight stuff again.
He seems to have caught up a little bit while the two of these were battling very hard as they all now go down into turn one. It'll be interesting to see if he can close up now that they've spread out a little bit.
Earlier, Tom had a chance to talk with the driver of the Audi, the remaining Audi, Hurley Haywood, about what it's like to drive a four-wheel drive race car in the streets here at Long Beach.
Well, the Audi has an all-wheel drive system on it, and it's a little bit different. It takes a lot to retrain yourself on how to drive an all-wheel car, an all-wheel drive car. When you're used to ground effects, when you get into trouble with the ground effects car, you lift off the throttle. In these cars, when you get into trouble, you put your foot flat down on the throttle and it pulls you out of the whatever problem you're in. So it's really incredible. It's a lot of fun to drive these cars.
Earlier, Tom Gloy, you mentioned that he's using parts of the racetrack that aren't clean. What do you mean by that?
Well, he's using areas of the racetrack that most of the other cars haven't driven on. And those areas have lots of old rubber and pebbles and dirt on them. And he seems to be making use of those areas, even obviously via his all-wheel drive.
When we return, it'll be checkered flag time right after this.
She ran her first rally at 22. At 29, she was a champion, with victories worldwide. And though Michelle Mouton has gone from rally champion to mother, one thing hasn't changed. She still drives an Audi. They say the car you drive says a lot about you, but we think the kind of people who drive our cars says a lot about Audi. When you're ready to follow your own road, you're ready for an Audi.
The Sports Car Club of America puts you in on all the action at top road race events like Trans Am and Formula One. Become a trained and licensed timer, scorer, starter, technical inspector, or member of the flagging and communications team. Call 1-800-255-5550 for membership information. Stop watching, start racing with the SCCA. Call 1-800-255-5550.
Trans Am race here in Long Beach, and so far the story has been Scott Pruitt in the #1 Merkur.
He's cruising to victory just like last year. I can imagine the thoughts that are going through his mind.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is some impressive drive that the young man has put on. There's 14 stops total on the Trans Am Series this year, including such exciting places as Detroit while the Formula One cars run, the Meadowland while the Indy cars run, and these guys have got a busy season yet in front of them. Pruitt trying to get a leg up on the championship early as he gets ready to go back out on the shoreline with traffic in front of him.
You could bet that he's going to be very careful of this traffic. There's been a lot of action today, and he certainly doesn't want to be involved in it. We've got 2 laps to go as he goes underneath the starter stand.
Do you begin counting the money when you're this far in front with 2 laps to go?
If you start counting the money now, something will happen.
Something about the fat lady singing, right?
That's right.
Picking him up in turn 1, brakes on. He just went around the number 79, putting another lap on Robert Ripple there as they come through turns 2 and then on to 3. And that Strode Light Merkur looks very smooth at the moment.
He's certainly going to take it real easy. He wants to just nurse her on home.
Inside with the hard-running Irv Hare, the Oldsmobile without the front end. Boy, he has been charging through. The stopwatches have kept him the quickest guy for about the last 15 laps on the track. But remember, he had a 1-lap penalty earlier for backing up from an accident in turn 1.
He's come up on the back of Jim DeHaag in his Camaro, and it looks like they're having a heck of a battle.
This battle is for 6th place, by the way, a real 6th place. If he gets by him, Irv Hare goes to 6th.
Well, Irv's got to pull this off in a hurry.
Back on your leader once again as Pruitt just counting it away as he goes down the short chute area once again. The Stroh light car just jamming through the gears, but he doesn't seem to be pulling away from that traffic he went by nearly a half a lap ago.
No, he won't be running this car very hard now. He wants to just get to the finish line and collect the check.
Put that baby on cruise control then and go home for the money. Scott Pruitt has been the leader the whole distance, taking the hairpin turn one more time. As he comes by the starter stand this time, a single digit will be displayed by the starter, showing them that there is one lap remaining in the event.
He's got a wide open track ahead of him, a perfect situation for a victory.
All right, well, let's take him down shoreline right there. Wait a minute, he's getting caught from behind. The leader is being caught by what we considered traffic a little while ago. He's in trouble.
He's pulling to the side and slowing very radically. He's going into the exit of the pit lane.
That is pit out, ladies and gentlemen. That is where they're supposed to go the other way, and he's backing up.
He's backing up. His crew is around him. I don't understand this at all.
Uh-oh, this could be troubles for Scott Pruitt. Big time right now is his crew checking him over as he tried to back in. And now he re-enters the race course, and right there on the race course, that's Herb Hare going around Jim Durhag and taking over the 6th place spot.
And that's for position. That's incredible. Now we have Scott back out on the racetrack. I mean, he faces the possibility of the same penalty that Herb Hare suffers from.
The way we look at it, he is still in the lead on the racetrack. We're looking at Herb Hare right now, who went by and is now 6th. Durhag, who's now in the 7th place spot. And behind them somewhere is Scott Pruitt. Pruitt, who appears on the racetrack to still be in the lead. But again, folks, he backed up, and that's against the rule.
Well, you know, there's a chance here that Gentilozzi is actually in the lead. He was formerly our 2nd place car, but I'm not sure what this situation bears for him.
Well, we'll stay with it. The leaderboard shows us that Gentilozzi is in the 2nd place spot. That's certainly, what else has happened? That's number 9 spinning right there, and number 8. 8 is Lindley, and 9 belonged to Jerry Clinton.
And we had Lynn St. James sneaking past both of them.
Lynn St. James improved her position, and there's Pruitt again.
That's coming out of the hairpin.
No horsepower.
Pruitt is going very, very slowly.
And going by him is the number 7, Gentilozzi, and here comes the checkered flag, and Paul Gentilozzi is going to get there first. Pruitt is going to limp it across.
Gentilozzi definitely the winner. He passed Pruitt on the racetrack.
And what's going to be next should be Hurley Haywood, unless everything's changed. There's Haywood coming across the line. He finishes in the, 3rd?
And here comes Lindley, all battered up from the crash that he just had. He's making it through the hairpin and trying to go down the front straightaway.
What a wild final lap of this one. It'll take us a few moments to recount this whole deal, but it appears as though number 7, Paul Gentilozzi from Lansing, Michigan in the Oldsmobile has won his first Trans Am race here in Long Beach. When we come back after this next commercial break, we'll have the official results. Trust me. Again, we're back in the streets of Long Beach, and that is unofficially the winner, Paul Gentilozzi. But the victory ceremonies have not yet begun, and Tom Gloy is on his way to Victory Circle, but he has run into Scott Pruitt first. Let's talk to him.
Scott, you had a real long and a real strong run here at Long Beach. Can you tell us what happened at the end?
Well, the last couple laps, I just ran out of gas, and I didn't think I was going to make it. We pulled off on the pits, and I wasn't aware that we could not refuel, and I got assessed with a 1-lap penalty, I believe, for backing up in the pit lane. So I lost everything.
It has now become official. Paul Gentilozzi is the winner. That's Lynn St. James, our 3rd place driver, making her way to Victory Circle. And 2nd place, the Audi 4-wheel drive of Hurley Haywood. Quite a drive by him. So the victory ceremony is about to begin. The photographers now in big numbers are in the Victory Circle area. And there's a pretty shot of a lot of happy faces right there on the victory stand. Hurley Haywood trying on the hat dance portion of the day, where everybody's hat gets a picture taken.
For Trans Am. An exciting trophy for an exciting series.
Boy, Lynn St. James looks pleased, doesn't she? Quite a drive that she turned in the secret car. And there's Gentilozzi winning his first ever Trans Am race.
The bubbly will be...
We've got a chance to talk with Paul Gentilozzi, too. As they get him down off of the victory stand, Tom Gloy is right there.
Paul Gentilozzi, what a great victory. What were your thoughts when you saw Scotty pull off?
I couldn't believe it. I honestly couldn't believe. I thought I'd missed the checkered flag the lap before, and Scotty was pulling into the winner's circle. I thought, well, I'm 2nd. That's not so bad. I better go around one more time. And I went, and the guy gave me the checkered, and I said, I guess I won.
Absolutely. Congratulations. That's your first Trans Am victory.
Absolutely. absolutely. My first win in road racing. I used to be a drag racer, and as you know, having raced against you a lot of times and gotten beat by you, we try and try and try, and this is what it's all about. We got lucky and won today.
Paul Gentilozzi savoring the moment in the victory circle area right there, his first major victory in Trans Am. Well, the last lap certainly rearranged the leaderboard heavily. Here's the official finishing order. Gentilozzi wins it, then Haywood, St. James, Lindley, and Hare. The next 5 show Durhag, Pruitt, Rickware, Sobey, and Downs, and there are a few selected other people, including Paul Newman and Hans Stuck.
We were all saddened to hear that